Hello BookTube! I'm here to do the little literary tag which was created by Mark at Book Time with Elvis, who has somehow already created two amazing tags in a very short amount of time being on BookTube, which fills me with a small amount of tag envy. But anyway, I've been tagged to do this by Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading, and it is a lovely tag. I must say I did struggle with a few of the prompts, but I do think it's a really lovely one. So let's just start. Number 1. Tolkien once said that the cellar door is the most beautiful expression in English. What do you think is the most beautiful word or phrase in English or any language? So I find this quite difficult. I have this sort of love and fascination with the language, but to sort of distinguish between what I find beautiful and pleasant to listen to versus other parts that may influence my liking a word, I don't know. But let's just try anyway. So one thing that I very much enjoy are onomatopoeic words. So that's words where the meaning of the word is somehow sort of reflected in the sounds that the word makes. So think crunch and crisp, that sort of thing, right? Or stomp. And I think one that is a little bit more exciting than crunch is one that Brian has also mentioned, which is mellifluous. So that means something that sounds pleasant. So a mellifluous voice, for example. I think coming from honey, as in, so the mel part of that, I think comes from honey. So like a voice like honey, maybe, or something like that. I haven't looked it up. This is just me, improvising here. I think that's where it comes from. Another one that may not sound as beautiful, but I find just as pleasing in its onomatopoeic properties is cantankerous. And then the other ones that I very much like, since we're talking words in another language, but I guess, so they're also part of the English language, but they come from German, are these sort of compound words that tend to describe abstract concepts like Zeitgeist, Weltschmerz, those types of things. I'm not sure if they're actually beautiful, but I like how they describe an abstract concept in a very short amount of space. Yes, and then lastly, and I know a lot of people will hate me for this, but this is why I like it, and also because it's onomatopoeic, moist. Which leads me to number 2. What words in English do you find most amusing? Because moist would also fall into that. I find it very amusing that so many people hate that word and it makes them cringe. I think it's brilliant because, again, it's onomatopoeic, and I find it amusing that so many people hate it. I don't know why. Other ones that I find very amusing are usually these sort of silly sounding words that, as a non-native speaker, you may only come across after years and years and years of engaging with the language. So things like flabbergasted, I think I've even used that in the past videos. Thingamajig and thingamabob, dilly-daddling, haberdashery. I love that word, especially if you think about, do you know what the German word for that is? Kurzwarengeschäft. No character. Haberdashery. I don't know why, I love it. Then also paraphernalia and malarkey. No clue why. I just find them amusing. Yeah. I'm sure there are more, but these are the ones that I can come up with right now. Okay, number 3. Have you memorized any poems in full to whip out now and then to impress your friends? If so, which ones? Like many people, I wonder whether I have the right friends. I don't think any of my friends would be very impressed with me, reciting a poem. I think they just look at me funny and maybe wonder whether I've lost my mind. I was very good at memorizing poems when I was a child, up to maybe even in high school still. Although as a primary school child, I was really good at it. It was it took me like one afternoon really to learn one. And so by now, I remember certain lines of the odd poem, mainly somehow from Goethe. So there's one that's called Der Totentanz. So it's the dance of the dead. Is that how you say it in English? I don't know. And I remember there was there's the beginning scene where there's or what is it called? The person who's looking after the grounds, like the cemetery. Oh no, and the bells of the church or something like that. So he's just standing up on top of the bell tower and looking down onto the cemetery. And there's one line where it says, "Der Mond, hat alles ins Helle gebracht." So the moon has illuminated everything. And then he gets this sort of wild idea of, he watches what happens and the dead come out of their graves and dance. And there's one line that describes how the sounds the bones make. And it goes, how does it go? Da klippert's und klappert's mitunter hinein, als schlug man die Hölzlein zum Takte? Zum Takte, im Takte, or zum Tanze. One of those. And that, again, that's also onomatopoeic, isn't it? Klippert, klappert. So these are the bones that are clapping and making sounds. Anyway, that one. But I can't remember the whole one. Yeah. Anyway, that's probably long enough, sorry. You know what? I might find a link to the poem somewhere on YouTube and try and put it up here. Next question. Who or what do you consider to be an underrated and underappreciated author or book? This I find difficult. I think I'm not well read enough. It's not, my reading has not been well rounded enough. Maybe I'm too young. Or whatever. Most of the things I read are, upon the recommendation of others. So I feel like maybe nothing I read is really in that sense underrated. So the only thing I could come up with will sound ridiculous, but bear with me. So actually I've come up with two, but one is Erich Kestner. Now he is a German classic, so how can that be underrated, right? But what I mean with underrated is that Erich Kestner is mainly known for his children's books, some of which have been, the basis for films. I think the most well-known internationally would be The Parent Trap, which was based on Das doppelte Lottchen by him. But he's also written for adults. And he has written books like Fabian or the Story of a Moralist. Sorry, that was the door. So where were we? Erich Kestner, books for adults. So he's written Fabian, which is also called. Wait, it has the subtitle of Story of a Moralist, I think, and he had originally wanted to call it Going to the Dogs or something like that, like Der Gang vor die Hunde. But that was rejected by the publisher because it was too negative or something like that. As well as it was also not published in its original form at the time because the publisher thought it was too, how do you say this? Too frank in certain descriptions of sex and other things, I think. So what it was is a satire of Berlin at the dawn of, is it at the dawn? On the brink of Hitler rising to power. So, and obviously it was banned and burned by the Nazis later on. And I think, to an extent, what I find interesting or in terms of underrated is the warnings that were in this book, right? And the prescience, is that the word? Prescience? Oh my goodness, I need to look this up. Wait, let me look it up. Please tell me how to pronounce this word that I've only ever seen written down. Pronunciation. Prescience. Oh, prescience. Prescience. Okay, maybe. That is displayed in that book, which obviously people didn't heed. And I think it's quite timely to think about those things again now, almost, a century later. Anyway, that's the one. And the other one is a contemporary of Erich Kestner. And we never, I feel like nobody ever mentions her. Maybe because she's a woman. So, she was a contemporary of Tucholsky, Hermann Hesse, Erich Kestner, and so on. Mascha Kaleko. So this is a poetry collection of hers called Das Lyrische Stenogrammheft. I don't know how to pronounce that, how to translate that. It's a lyrical stenograph notepad or something like that, notebook. Anyway, she has written both sort of poems about city life in Berlin at the time, and also very, in my opinion, very moving exile poetry. Yeah, she's never mentioned. I've never heard of her. Well, I have, obviously, because I have her, but normally she's not mentioned in this sort of, in the same breath as these other big German classics who are all male. And I think I have looked up, there is some translated poetry of her available in English. So maybe have a look if you're interested. Okay, now I have to find the next question again. Sorry. My cat is incredibly distracting. He's trying to play with all sorts of cables. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Okay, let's just see whether we can salvage this. Okay. Which book do you consider to have the best or most memorable beginning? Another one that I am incredibly ill-suited to answer because I have a terrible, terrible memory. So I basically ransacked my shelves looking, sort of having this sort of vague idea that I think maybe this one was quite good or maybe that one was quite good. Anyway, so these are by no means the be-all and end-all of beginnings, but they are ones that I personally liked. Let's start with the classics again, and let's go ahead and say, obviously, Kafka, Metamorphosis, right? So I think we all know this, but I do love the sound of this, right? Gonna do this in German. Als Gregor Samsa eines Morgens aus unruhigen Träumen erwachte, fand er sich in seinem Bett zu einem ungeheuren Ungeziefer verwandelt. What a great start to a story. And I think it goes on, like the first few paragraphs describing him in his, in his little legs and all that, are brilliant and almost humorous. Well, they are kind of humorous, although obviously the story isn't very humorous. But yeah, that one. Same thing then goes for The Trial. Well, not as humorous, but Franz Kafka's The Trial, which just starts with somebody must have... cat again. Somebody must have... Seriously? Oh, come on, but... Okay. Somebody must have betrayed K. Either that or somebody must have slandered K, I presume. Would it be in English? Josef K, ja. Jemand muss Josef K. verleumdet haben, denn ohne dass er etwas Böses getan hätte, wurde er eines Morgens verhaftet. Again, it's this lovely sort of in medias res start. Then we have another German author, Sasha Stanisic, Herkunft. This is a bit different, and unfortunately there's no translation of this, but I love the first page of this, so I'm going to try and read it in German and then sort of translate it ad hoc. We'll see how that works. I might cut it out again. Anyway, so it starts, Großmutter und das Mädchen. Großmutter hat ein Mädchen auf der Straße gesehen. Sie ruft ihm zu vom Balkon. Es solle keine Angst haben, sie werde es holen. Rühr dich nicht. Großmutter steigt auf Strümpfen 3 Stockwerke hinunter. Und das dauert, das dauert. Die Knie, die Lunge, die Hüfte. Und als sie dort ankommt, wo das Mädchen gestanden hat, ist das Mädchen fort. Sie ruft nach dem Mädchen. Autos bremsen und kurven meine Großmutter in den dünnen, schwarzen Strümpfen auf der Straße, die einmal den Namen Josip Broz Titos getragen hat und heute den Namen des verschwundenen Mädchens trägt. Als Hall Christina ruft meine Großmutter, ruft ihren eigenen Namen. Christina. Es ist der 7. März 2018 in Visegrad, Bosnien und Herzegowina. Großmutter ist 87 Jahre alt und 11 Jahre alt. Okay, so, grandmother and the girl. Grandmother has seen a girl on the street. She calls to her from the balcony. She shouldn't be afraid. She will come and get her. Don't move. Grandmother climbs down 3 flights of stairs in socks, and that takes a while. The knees, the lungs, the hips. And when she arrives where the girl had been standing, the girl is gone. She calls after her. Cars brake. They curve around my grandmother in her thin black stockings on the street that once had the name Josip Broz Titos and now is bearing the name of the vanished girl, Hall Christina. My grandmother calls. She calls her own name, Christina. It is the 7th of March 2018 in Visegrad, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Grandmother is 87 years old and 11 years old. Sorry, that took a long time, didn't it? I'm gonna leave it at that, even though I'd found 2 other starts. So I love the start of this because I find the way he describes her dementia just really endearing, but also incredibly effective. In such a short portion of text. I don't know. Whatever. I don't have to justify myself. I like this beginning. Okay. Which book title best describes your life? It's not a book that I've read, but I've come across it. It is Neither Here Nor There by Bill Bryson. Not what it's about or anything, but the title seems to kind of speak to me. I think in parts because of my heritage, which has always felt like it always felt like I was being torn in different directions and never felt quite home. Neither here nor there. And also, well, I'm generally an incredibly indecisive person when it comes to all sorts of things, and unfortunately not just what ice cream flavor I want to pick. So I think it's quite apt. Okay, next one. 7. What was the last book you read that led to a moistening of the eyes? Easy. Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell. Don't need to talk about it any longer, right? Then 8. When it is time to shuffle off this mortal coil and go to that big library in the sky, what bookish literary quote would you like engraved on your headstone? Sorry. This is not happening. There we go. Like a lot of people, I'm not very original, right? I don't think I want a headstone. I don't think I want anybody to spend money on a casket or anything like that, an expensive wooden box to put in the ground. I would rather be incinerated and then be planted in one of those peace forests where, where there's going to be a tree growing out of the nutrients that your body is left over. And even for a hypothetical idea, I can't come up with something. Maybe I'm too young. Maybe I haven't thought about my mortality long enough. But yeah, I don't have an answer for this one. Number 9, although I do, just lastly, I do like those humorous ones. I can't remember, I think it was Billy Connolly who at one point was making some sort of joke about humorous headstones. Like one of them, I don't know if it was an actual real one or if it was his idea, but yeah, I think he said he liked the sort of engraving which said something like, geez, is that the time already? But then that's not literary, is it? Well, anyway, it's pop culture then, I guess. Number 9, if you wrote a book and didn't want to use your own name, and what name would you choose as a suitable pen name? I don't think I would ever, I can't really imagine trying to use a pen name. If I ever had the, the gumption and the, how do you say it? I don't know, the follow through to actually write and publish a book, I'd want to use my own name, I think. But humorously, I thought if I were to ever write some sort of fantasy, my name would be, and if I wanted a pen name, I think it would be something like KY Fingersmith. Don't ask why. And then lastly, many literary characters are sidekicks, henchmen. Who would you choose to be your companion on your life adventures? Well, I have chosen one. It's my husband, who, even though I can't discuss books very much with, I love discussing a lot of other things with. So, I don't know. I think this, I was again very ill-suited to answer this question because I'm so terrible at remembering details of a book like that, in that way. And also, I even said this in the A to J tag that I'm not even very fond. I don't seem to get as attached to characters as other people. So I think it may just, I don't know, maybe their fictionality has somehow precluded me from getting too attached. I'm not sure. So I'm just not gonna answer it. I'm sorry. This is boring. Okay, anyway. I hope some of these answers at least were interesting. And the last thing to do then would be to tag people. And this has been going around now. Also, some people have brazenly tagged like 8 to 10 different people. So I apologize if I do end up double tagging somebody. I did try my best, but I couldn't watch every single video and check. So who I'm going to tag is a very, very new channel. It's Laura at Northern Book Mail. I've seen her first video. I think it was only 1, maybe 2 now. And I would like to welcome her to BookTube by tagging her in this. Then there is Melissa Furman. She has been, I don't know, I think she's roughly also in my cohort, as I mentioned last time, or maybe slightly, she's probably been at this a bit longer than me. But anyway, I'll tag her. Then I would also like to tag Pete at Pete's Pensive, who I've, with joy, with glee, noticed that he has started making BookTube videos after I saw him play a wonderful cover version of, what's it called? Vincent? Is it Vincent? I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna link him. And then, so that's 3 people. And then I would also like to tag Emma with Books and Brushes, and Sean and Bert at Pastori Time. That's it. I think that's enough, right? Obviously, again, sorry if you have been double tagged. Also, sorry if you don't want to do it. Don't do it. Don't feel pressured. And yeah, that is it. And hopefully the next video, I'm actually going to be talking about books that I've been recently reading. Okay, have a lovely day or evening whenever you're watching this, and talk in the comments. Tell me if you knew that Goethe thing. Bye bye.